In the name of the Holy One, Amen. Please be seated. So how many of you have an Advent calendar? You know, a calendar, see some, where beginning December 1st, every day you open a door or a drawer. You might see a photograph, a picture, maybe a small toy, a piece of chocolate. I even have an Advent calendar that has treats for the cats. This is their favorite season of the year. Advent calendars are just one of the ways that we mark this season of preparation and expectation for a baby to be born in a manger. But this is more than waiting for the birth of a baby. Advent, you see, is a time when we await the coming of God into our midst. This is no small act, this child coming. This is an act that changes the entire universe. We wait for the one who comes and who will come again and who is always in our midst. Advent is waiting for that moment when God comes and dwells among us, moves from the infinite of time and space, the vastness of a universe that is so large that it takes light, millions, billions of years to cross it. And God moves from this to inhabit flesh and blood. It is a time when, like a star being born, God's very self is compressed into something so small and fragile and earthy as you and me. God with us, who breathes, weeps, bleeds, and loves. Is it any wonder that we cry, "Stir up your power, O God, and with great might come among us"? God, immersed in our life, immerses us fully into the water and fire and spirit of the ongoing life of the cosmos itself. The incarnation changes everything about our past and everything about our future. God's indwelling ricochets through all of creation, backwards and forwards in time. And this is probably why my favorite Advent calendar is the Space Telescope Advent Calendar, which features remarkable images from NASA's Hubble telescope and the James Webb telescope. You can look it up right now while I'm preaching if you want. It's online. They've been doing it for 17 years. And every day there are images that reveal a universe alive with new creation across billions of years. One mind-boggling photograph was on the second day of Advent, and it was of the Serpens Nebula, which is a star nursery, a huge cloud of cosmic dust and gas where stars are being born. And the star nursery, this one, is a close neighbor of ours. It's only 1,300 light years away. This means that the image shows us something that actually happened around 700 AD. And just for a bit of context, in 700 AD, Europe was in the middle of what is known as the Dark Ages. In China, gunpowder was discovered to make fireworks. The new religion of Islam was spreading quickly in the Middle East and beyond. And in the Americas, in the Southwest, the first people were building pueblos. And here in the East, they were building vast trading networks. And the Mayan culture was at its peak on the Yucatan Peninsula. And in 700 AD, the stars in the Serpens Nebula were being born. I don't know about you, but this shakes up my sense of proportion completely. Because in the arc of time and space, we are so very small. And yet it is in these very small places that God's creative birthing and nurturing and transforming began in the beginning and continue in an ever-expanding universe. God's power and might actually reside in the very small, so small that it's almost incomprehensible. It's called the quantum. And a quantum is the smallest amount of something you can have. Did you know that particles smaller than atoms, photons, neutrons, electrons, quarks, and other things I can't even pronounce, these are the essence of the building blocks of all that is, out there and here and now. These quantum particles that we can't see are mysterious and act in ways that are counterintuitive. For example, a photon, which is a particle of light like we see through the window or in the lamps above us, well, these particles exist in a blur of contradictory motions. They can move backwards and forwards and up and down all at the same time. And they are in relationship with each other. Randomly moving photons become entangled, and they behave like they are one entity. Even when separated, if the spin of one photon is changed, the spin of the other one changes also, even if they are separated by millions of light years. This phenomenon is called, and I kid you not, spooky action at a distance. That's the actual name of it. It seems that there is an essential non-separability among all parts of creation. Now, this isn't meant to be a science lecture, that God forbid I would do something like that. But it is to show us that the prophets, including John, who we hear from today, although they were not quantum physicists, they proclaimed with words of faith the very things that we are learning to understand with science. We are entangled, bound up together, inseparable from God and one another at the most basic level of our creation. Is it any wonder we cry, "Stir up your power, O God, and with great might come among us"? In Advent, we prepare again and again to experience the indwelling of God, who is the creative heart of this vastness of time and space. And we ache, don't we, to feel more connected to this God and to one another. In our own small ways, we yearn to be a meaningful part of God's vast, holy, creative work here and now in our everyday lives. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I look around and I see such daunting challenges on all sides. And sometimes my fears and frustrations narrow my vision, blocking whatever lies beyond the next cloud or shadow. I think too often, most of us are held back by the belief that who we are and what we do are simply too small to make a difference, too small to be noticed, too small to be worthwhile in such a world of cries and needs. But if the movement of a single particle of light shining through the window or from that light bulb has the power to change the movement of the universe a million light years away, then we must know and we must believe that the things we do and those things we leave undone or unsaid really do matter, really do change not just our own lives, but the very life of creation, the life of God. So embrace the quantum, because this is where God's holy work gets done. You see, great changes are just the accumulation of countless small changes. And over time, the combined small changes can be astounding, such as the birth of a star or a baby. And so we cry, "Stir up your power, O God, and with great might come among us. Come among us in this season of Advent, where the wonders of the cosmos meet us in the mundane miracles of everyday life. Creating change in our lives or making a difference in our world comes not from big acts or one quick fix, but from making a sustained commitment in the same direction, incremental small steps, which add up to enormous changes. So embrace the quantum. Look for a place where you can make a small change, maybe even one you hardly even notice. Make it once and then again and again and again, because this is how everything happens. Small changes made one at a time. Think about it. Prayers are offered one word at a time. Wheat grows one stalk at a time. Children are nurtured one moment at a time. Broken hearts are mended one crack at a time. Hungry families are fed one meal at a time. Recovery happens one day at a time. And homeless people are kept warm one coat at a time. Embrace the quantum. It is where God's power and might are revealed and made real. We are a part of the entangled, mysterious realm of the divine, where the movement of quantum particles creates great ripples in the universe, where small seeds grow into strong trees that bear fruit to feed our hungry bodies, and where small beginnings made in faith and pursued with patience have the power to change the world, and maybe even beyond. Come down among us, O God, with your power and might. Stir up your power among us, O God, in quantum leaps and bounds. Amen.